Thanks for being with us on AM Agenda this morning. Joining me now from Melbourne is the Shadow Parliamentary Secretary for Disability, Senator Mitch Fifield. Good morning, Mitch.
Good morning, Kieran.
And in Sydney, from our CBD studio in Sydney, the Parliamentary Secretary for Health, Mark Butler. Mark, good morning to you. First to you, what do you make of this poll? It's the support for the government, for your government's fallen off a cliff.
Morning, Kieran. Morning, Mitch. Well, Kieran, you get paid to commentate on polls, so that's not in my job description. But it's not uncommon for governments in the lead up to elections to suffer polls like this. I guess what it does show is that if the election were held today, Tony Abbott would be Prime Minister, and I'm sure he's happy about this. Mitch would be the Parliamentary Secretary for Disabilities. It demonstrates that we've got a job of work ahead of us to explain and communicate our agenda, not only for the nation right now, but for the nation into the future in terms of building a strong economy, improving our health and hospital system, and bringing the budget back into surplus. And we also have a job of work of us to communicate to the community what an Abbott-led government would mean for them. Cuts to hospitals, cuts to school funding, and the return of work choices. So these polls do come and go, as the glib phrase goes, but we know we've got a tough job ahead of us to win the election. First-term governments in Australia have always had a very tough road to hoe to win government again.
Mark, the pollster, John Sturton, you heard in the first part of the program, he was pointing to the emissions trading scheme delay and suggesting that you look at the record vote for the Greens, 15%, that it's just basically fallen off your government and to the Greens, and that people have lost faith in Kevin Rudd, that they don't know what he believes in and what he stands for now, given that he'd campaigned so much on the ETS. Was that now, in hindsight, a mistake to delay the ETS?
Well, look, the ETS was very difficult for us. There's some irony if the Greens vote has improved because of that, because people should know and remember that the Greens opposed action on climate change in the Senate on a number of occasions. If the Greens had supported our CPRS scheme, our action on climate change, it would now be law, and we would be looking forward to its implementation over the next couple of years. So the Greens' record on action on climate change is not a particularly happy one, but we had a very tough decision to take in the face of ongoing obstructionism in the Senate by the Liberal Party and also by the Greens, and also a very disappointing outcome in Copenhagen. That was all against the backdrop of the nation and the government having to steer its way through the toughest economic period globally since the 1930s. So, look,
but
it was a very
messy, wasn't it? The way the Prime Minister and the government handled it was messy. It looked like you were discarding this core belief.
It was a very tough decision to take after trying on many occasions to get a plan through the Senate against the obstructionism of the Liberal Party and the Greens. We'd worked incredibly hard, particularly the Prime Minister and Minister Penny Wong had worked incredibly hard with industry, with environment groups, with the broader community, and with those parties in the Parliament whose support we needed in the Senate. And at the end of the day, it was a decision by Tony Abbott, Nick Minchin and Bob Brown that blocked the ETS.
OK, Mitch Fifield, let's look at your side of things. Obviously, you're pleased this morning. I can't see your face, but our viewers can. I'm sure you're smiling. The Tony Abbott's approval rating, though, 41%, Mitch. Is that your weak point? People are still not convinced by your leader?
Well, to be fair, Kevin Rudd has been Prime Minister for the best part of 4 years. Tony has only been our leader for about 6 months, and I think considering that relatively short period of time, what he's managed to achieve has been nothing short of remarkable. The recovery in our primary vote from the end of last year is a cause of some heart and some hope for us. I think these poll results are partly a vindication of our decision at the end of last year to adopt a new leader, a new policy and a new attitude. But we're still very much the underdogs. First-term governments aren't often defeated. But I think the message from this poll for the government is that the public pay on results. The public expect governments to keep their word. They don't expect them to break their election commitment on things as fundamental as the ETS. And it's, the number of times I've heard the government blame the coalition for their abandonment of the ETS. If you believe in a piece of legislation, you keep putting it up to the Parliament, and if you really believe in it, then you'll go to a double dissolution election if necessary to try and get it through. So the public are sick of this government breaking its word. They're sick of this
But Mitch, does
government
Tony
blaming
Abbott-
everyone else for their problems.
Does Tony Abbott have a bit of work to do? I mean, to convince people that he is a viable alternative? It seems the approval rating in this poll